critique. I don't think anybody knows so much of cinema as Ravi knows. So the way I will do this panel is, first I will put a generic question before all the panelists, and please give a brief kind of a response to this generic question, and then we'll go to some specific conversations. So my first question to all the panelists is, where do you think women in cinema are right now? What is the status of women in cinema? So can we start with you, Sunitha ji?
Hi everyone. Thank you, Sunitha. When Sunitha asked Sunitha, I can't say no. I think we know each other for almost like 20 years now, since my TV9 days. So you have done phenomenal work yourself, and you've been an inspiration for all of us and continue to be. So thank you for being that, what I call as a power of courage. Thank you. So coming to cinema, where we are right now with women, there is a great opportunity waiting for us. The time is certainly, the door used to be very little open, but now the doors are wide open. There is no better time than this, is how I feel, honestly. Whether it is the digital platforms, whether it is the global arena, and whether it is the openness of the audience, whose willingness to accept and embrace a far more equitable cinema is where it is right now. So I would say it's the right time.
Thank you. Ravi, what is your take? Where do you think from 1926 Pakiba Begum to 2023 now?
Look at a Deepika Padukone who can stand out and say, I earn as much as Shah Rukh Khan does, which is a very nice thing. How many do? They don't. Today, Alia doesn't earn as much as Ranveer does. And today, I'm just 1 hour away from a film where, we have lines like, Dikha de teri thamki, or Dikha de teri tumki. Now, we still continue to objectify women, especially in South Indian cinema. I think in North, it's a little less, which is very nice about this film called Shehzada. Now, Shehzada is a remake of Alla Vaikunthapuramlo, and what I liked particularly about Shehzada was there was less objectification of the heroine. She was not, of course, physically she's objectified, but what happens with Telugu cinema or down south cinema, the way they are projected, the kind of statements you make, unabashedly, look at Ravi Teja, look at Nagarjuna, look at all the prime actors who are cult in a way, and what's the example? They said we continue to objectify women, and that is why probably women's space in Indian cinema continues to be on screen. So I would still believe, I'll go back to my numbers, 3.5 to 3, and a lot more needs to be done.
By the way, just for the panelists to know, Ravi gives all these numbers every week for several films. So that is why the 3.5 came out so quickly. I go to Niharika. Is the status of women in cinema?
Like India has been a developing country since so many years. I think women also in the industry will always be a developing factor, will never be there, like you said, like so many years back is when we had our first female director. After a couple of years, they'll say, today we mark the year of the 100 women in the industry, like 100 strong, extremely successful women in the industry. The other day, I was at an OTT platform, and they were like, we have so many female-oriented movies, we're trying to change a few of them into a male protagonist. I was like, why? Why would you do that? No one asks a male-dominated cinema to be like, oh my god, we have so many male protagonist movies in like our language, why don't we make 1 or 2 about like an actress? We don't. There are people who, especially an audience, I should count myself also, because I know so many times that I have looked at the protagonist of the film and I went to the film. The face does matter, even for me as a very audience. But for that to happen, I do believe that a lot, like Sunitha said, the door is much wider right now, and it's going to keep getting wider. Yeah, I don't think we're very strong women. We're not going to let the door narrow down any further.
Interesting, very optimistic. Tarunaji, you are observing cinema. You showcase cinema, you celebrate cinema through your entertainment. What do you think as an outsider and yet an insider? Because you are the one who takes it to the next platform, to the distribution level actually. Because it's through the publicity that movies get through your channels and your kind of work. What do you think is the real status of women in cinema today?
So when we think of status, first of all, the word status itself looks like a status. So let's not say it as a status, because when you talk of status, everybody wants to be in the limelight. And when we see about women in cinema means first comes to mind is actress, heroine, on screen, opposite to an actor. But actually there are many women from different 24 crafts who are actually a part of cinema. But we don't talk about them. We don't talk about supporting artists. We don't talk about mother characters, film critics. We don't even talk about journalists at times. We only talk about women in cinema means an actress, and that actress, especially in a big budget movie, if she is opposite to a top hero or a superstar, then she'll get more limelight. That is my observation. So now there's a metamorphosis. There is a change that's happening. Since Sunitha ji, Ravichandran and Niharika said, yes, there is a change. And then the status shouldn't be given by others. It should be actually built on our own. I really appreciate Niharika on that. When everybody was like, star kids are not coming, especially women who are not entering, she took a bold step and she said, I want to act, I want to do production, I want to do multiple things. So that is again a dare step, but not everyone in the industry is doing that. Thank you.
Thank you, Taruna. You have set the platform for my next question, and my next question is to Sunitha ji, and very, very specific question. When I was, organizing this panel and I was fixing people, I was calling practically everybody inside the industry to understand, in the Telugu industry, the number of women in the technical side. I was searching for a women editor, a women's cinematographer. Just want to know, what is the stumbling blocks, or what is it preventing women to take technical roles, especially in mainstream or independent films for that matter? Why are we, especially in the Telugu film industry, in Malayalam film industry, we do see a lot of women now in technical side. In Bollywood you see it, but in the Telugu film industry, the number of women on the technical side are much, much fewer. In fact, hardly any. Directors, cinematographers, editors, we just have one name, two names. So why is that? What are the obstacles in women getting into hardcore making of cinema?
So I have a counter question for you for that. If you told your parents that you want to get into films, say 20 years back, do you think they'll say yes?
I don't know if for whatever I did, they didn't say anything, and I took a less traveled road, so I'm the wrong person. But yeah, definitely, I'm getting what you're saying.
Yeah. So if you take a typical Telugu family, which a typical middle class family, and if a daughter goes up and says, I want to be in cinema, either it will be, there is no way I'll break your legs, Gorta. That's what exactly my father said to me. And he said, as long as I pay for your school, you will study what I tell you and what will put food on the table. So first, I think we all need to get to the practicality of it. Whether it is in Niharika, I'm sure the conversation she would have had with her parents, and she has very progressive parents. I mean, I have a lot of respect for Nagbabkar and her mother. So there is a certain internal hurdle that first they have to overcome. And from that internal hurdle, then comes the whole hurdle of entering the industry, which by itself, you can't even call it a dominant. The work need to get done. The gender is not the issue there. When certain camera boxes need to be carried, they will be carried up the hill. Gender doesn't come in the way. But we see it that way. how many women or lot of women come to me at least once a month, minimum 2 to 3 parents come to me with their daughters and say, మా అమ్మాయి సినిమాల్లో జాయిన్ అవుదాం అనుకుంటుందండి, మీరు 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 కొంచెం కౌన్సిలింగ్ చేస్తారా అని పక్కకి పేరెంట్స్ పిలిచి కొంచెం అమ్మాయిని అదర్వైజ్ ఒప్పించండి, అమెరికాలో మంచి సంబంధం ఉంది, లేకపోతే ఎంబీఏ సీట్ వచ్చింది లండన్లో, ప్లీజ్ వీ వుడ్ లైక్ టు సెండ్ హర్ దేర్ అని చెప్పని చెప్తారు. ఇట్ ఈస్ నాట్ ఈజీ టు బీ ఇన్ ద ఫిల్మ్ ఇండస్ట్రీ అండ్ టు సే దట్ వీఆర్ నాట్ బీయింగ్ ఈక్వల్ దేర్. I think before that there are many steps to get there. There got to be a certain courage and resilience and bravery in you to be a industry that is running at a certain speed. You are joining a race that is already ahead. And imagine the wiring you need to do inside you to join that race. The mental attitude. You need to be strong is a very small word. I mean, it's a underutilized word in the industry. Everybody works hard physically. Your day starts at 4:30 in the morning, ends at 10:30. You don't have weekends. You are constantly working. Every imagery you see, there is a certain resonance in your head. And you are thinking of what do I do with my shot tomorrow, or what do I do with my story, or what story do I want to tell. It's an industry of constant engagement. Sorry to say, it's not that easy for women. But yet there are women in every craft, in all the 24 crafts. Like when I did Oh Baby, I made sure every craft I had a woman, including the camera department, including the art department, including the stunt department. We make sure, all of us, I'm sure I speak for Niharika also, we look for women. We are constantly looking for women that are, there aren't that many. It's not an easy field to be. So I think it's unfair to start with that word that, oh, something as if the industry, as a matter of fact, industry is, in my opinion, when it comes to technicians, if you're good, your opportunities are there. Look at Sudha, what she did with her phenomenal work. Look at Nandini. Look at people like either all the new directors, female directors that are coming, and recently I'm talking one cinematographer who is Uma, and I'm looking for people that are of good craftsmanship. I don't think the hindrance is something from the industry. Industry is constantly looking for quality people. The question is to reach that quality takes years of expertise and engagement and gaining that experience. It does not come overnight.
Very, very fair, meaning industry is space for skills and preparedness, and how much of women are actually prepared to take up that is a question, and that is a bridge we have to cross, and that much of space is there. Niharika, you come from a very illustrious family, and to a great extent, many people in the audience must be thinking that you come with a diamond spoon in your mouth, and so it is easy for you to enter the industry. I know it's not very easy, and I want you to speak about what are the difficulties of a women producer, irrespective of your lineage, because you have made an independent mark in the industry. So what are the challenges for independent film producers like you, women film producers like you?
I also heard that a lot, that I'm born with a silver spoon and a
Diamond spoon, actually, I was told.
diamond spoon and then like a silver platter, and I'm not going to deny it. I was born with a silver platter, but the food on the platter, I made it myself, you know, and I want to. I don't blame my parents for working so hard to give me the life that I have right now, and I'm not going to just sit there and eat their money and their fame and be someone that my parents are not going to be proud of. I am going to take it forward. I'm going to make them proud. That's my ultimate goal, to make them proud and to make a mark for myself. I will have my name Konidela beside me for as long as I live, but that doesn't mean when you see me or when you think about me, you'll see my entire family. You got to see what I do and what. So that's what I do. I really struggle to never to you know, I never ask people to see me differently or separately from my family. I don't want to. They are my family. Like if your mama and if your pednana are your pednana, my people are my people too. I was working. The main reason why like a lot of women, even though they work for 1-2 films, they don't continue in films. I know women who worked into films in art, in as ADs, assistant directors, script writers, whatever. the thing is, I've experienced this firsthand, so I can talk about it. I had an assistant of mine when I was shooting for a film, and we were shooting in the outskirts. So all these men in the industry, in the set, in the movie set, whenever they had to use the washroom, they would go behind the bushes and do it. Where would my assistant go? She's a girl. So I said, use my caravan, because the production doesn't even think, అమ్మాయిలు ఉంటారు అమ్మాయిలకి వాష్రూమ్ అరేంజ్ దే డోంట్ అండ్ ఐ మేక్ షూర్ ఐ థింక్ మై అంకుల్ దర్ ఈస్ మై ఈపీ హీ కెన్ వౌచ్ ఫర్ మీ దట్ ఐ మేక్ షూర్ మై సెట్ ఈస్ very, very, very equal and convenient for all the sexes.
Thank you, Niharika. In fact, that was the conversation I was having with Raj, and he was saying, till the caravans didn't come, you know, it was, the industry was so hostile for women entering the space. You spoke about portrayal of women in cinema, and I think they've come a long way, but still there are obstacles in the way women are portrayed. So who do you think should be blamed? The audience who wants such portrayal, or the filmmakers who think that this is the only thing that will sell?
I hope the answer was a single source. It's a psyche pandemic of sorts, so it can't be a single source. We are, much before cinema came in, a male-dominated world. But interestingly, I would like everybody to notice, there's one actress in Indian cinema who has ensured that there will never be a film in which she is a part, or where her role, it is not demeaning. Shabana Azmi. You know, in a Telugu film, you would see Pannu coming in first, her navel being shown, then her bosses being shown, she doing the pelvic gritations in the name of cinema. This does not happen with her Tappad. This does not happen with any of her Hindi films. Now, is Hindi cinema more progressive? I don't know. Maybe it's reaching out to a larger audience, and therefore the percentage is safer with them. So I'm not culturally saying Mumbai is better than Hyderabad, but I'm only saying that, well, if we can ape Mumbai cinema for certain aspects, why don't we ape them on these aspects of the matter? And why can't powerful heroines like whoever rules the roost in Telugu cinema, why don't you become a Vijay Shanti? Why don't you become a Jayasudha? Why don't you become a Shabana Azmi? Maybe there is a period when you know, it's the hockey stick, you'll have to go down before you go up. But at all stages of your career, if you're going to do demeaning roles, then women too play a vital role in this perpetuation of the myth. Because I believe Ekta Kapoor singularly has done harm, or bringing this ugly face of a vicious woman right into the bedrooms and drawing rooms of every middle class family.
As the moderator of this thing, I will not give my wise thoughts on this. Let me go to Tarunaji. Tarunaji, you are a film journalist and you had entertainment division. You are the person between the film and the theatres. Why do you think women-centric films do not really do well? We have less investors in women-centric films. Not everybody wants to put money in a women-centric film because they feel that it is, how much ever we say, there is a social stigma first. It's not just the film industry that has to be blamed. It is the audience, as she said, parental pressure of not getting the girls into the cinema industry. Yes, it is there. Majorly, the main problem is there are not good writers who can write. There are not good scripts that coming for women-centric films. If we see Arundhati, I think in a decade one Arundhati is made. So actresses want to do, there are actresses who want to do cinema. But the thing is, there are no good scripts that coming to them. Even if it is coming, we don't find producers because they themselves don't know whether it will work, and it's more of a money business here. Cinema is majorly a money business. How much ever we talk, they say cinema hit hai ya flop hai. Everybody, how much ever we speak about cinema, we give a rating. And critics like sir definitely are ready to give a rating immediately. So I would definitely say that it is not just the actresses or the cinema that has to be blamed. It's a social stigma. Even the audience have actually made in their mind that heroine should be glamorous. If a heroine is a glamorous heroine, house full rahega. That is a perception that has to change. The perception should come from audience. It has to come, once it comes from the audience, from the families, definitely the industry also will mold themselves. First there was no pan-India. Now if you see, half of our South industry is either in Bombay or in Japan or somewhere else. Why? Because the perception of audience have changed.
Yeah.
Audience want to see them there. Initially it was not like that.
You spoke about lack of preparedness. You spoke about lack of skills and resilience to handle the industry as one of the stumbling blocks, getting women in the making of cinema. How do you think we can bridge that? How do you think that we can encourage more and more women to, because I think women do bring a separate flavor in the way cinema is made, and their perspective is also as good or sometimes better sometimes in certain topics. So how do you think we can encourage more women to enter in the making of cinema?
I think the first thing we have to realize is that for some reason this industry is identified with success or failure by just an hour of release of the film. It takes the same amount of time to make a successful film and the same amount of effort to make a film that doesn't do well in the eyes of the audience. But in the eyes of the maker, it is still something that they worked hard and it's a story they want to tell. I think first fear people have against the industry when it comes to women is they don't want their daughters to be associated with failure. I think somewhere we need to change that perception of fear towards failure, because without failure there won't be success. It certainly won't be a success that will sustain and become the foundation for growth. I think somewhere in our mindset it is like any other job. As of now, we really take care of the people in the industry. We pay them well. We pay the industry standards. As a matter of fact, when I was hiring for the television channel, which you both know which that is, parents came and shouted at me. There are women who were upset with me because I was cutting the women's hair and teaching them how to do P2C. It's the same woman, she's one of them, who are now having great careers. I had to tell them I came from the West. Being a reporter, a female reporter and a female anchor is something very prestigious. It's really respectful. So we had to work towards changing the mindset of the people. That's a profession where you get a paycheck every month, you have your annual, rating, and then you get a good rise, and then it consistently becomes the responsibility of the head of the organization to provide that. And the heads of the industry are open to inviting women, talent and everything possible, but what is important is we need to change our mindset and encourage the children at home. When you find a daughter that is a writer, see where is it you can kind of encourage her skill set to be a better writer. Send her to the proper school, send her to the proper mentors. There are people, everything is accessible. Trust me, in my era when I wanted to come and work with Suresh sir, I had to find one uncle, another pedanana and another thing, and finally it is Shekhar that got me into the door of Suresh Babu. So it took me literally 6 months to track it down. Today if somebody wants to reach somebody in the industry, you just have to tweet them or you have to write to them. And there is an email ID, like if somebody want to write to me, I provide them the email ID and then they write to me and I respond. So accessibility is at literally 0.0 right now. Everything is accessible to you. You can't complain about that. Once something becomes accessible, are you equipped enough with the experience or the resume to be there? Are you providing that support to your children and encouragement to your children to get there? Are they paid the industry rates? Trust me, our industry pays equal to almost an IT. Anybody with an experience, they get paid quite a bit, in 6 figures.
Niharika, the same question to you in another perspective. How can we make industry more friendly to women to enter? And women from all walks of life. We have young, very aspiring filmmakers sitting in this audience who are coming from very normal backgrounds. How do we make this industry more friendly for them to enter?
I think everyone who wants to enter into the industry, they want that one chance. And a lot of people will try and exploit you for that one chance. So I would tell people, instead of being very impulsive about getting the chance very early in your career, gauge who that person is, find the right mentor, and trust me, there's no stopping if you find the right mentor. Like, if probably like how much Sunitha Garu struggled to get to Suresh Garu, if someone, like, mailed her, and if she was ready to mentor someone, I'm sure they will see success very quickly, or see like a good path to go. Yeah, that's it. Because I see a lot of young girls who have come to like my office and wanted to audition and this and that, how they're so eager to get like the spotlight, like go in and go act or go write or go produce, whatever. I said, hold on, it's okay. And they're all just 22, 23, and they're so eager. They're like, yeah, and the moms are taking them everywhere. Just calm down. The industry is not going anywhere. If you work hard, it is going to come to you. Because I didn't think I will be anywhere that I am today. I really didn't think so. I just thought I will end up being the nepotism kid all my life. But yeah, I'm glad I'm doing this, and I think I did choose the right mentors.
And you're on the right track, Niharika, and you made it by yourself to a large extent. People behind the screen know that. People like me who have seen you struggle with your work, your web series and all that, we have known how. How do you think film journalists like you can change the narrative for women in cinema?
We already started the interviews not just in the mainstream. We just don't focus only on the mainstream actors whom we are showing. In fact, we interviewed Sunitha ji also last time, and we didn't ask her only about glamour. We spoke about her work. We spoke more of actually what happens behind the scenes. So as a journalist, and especially as a women journalist, I would say, like, every day a lot of people come with their resumes and they just want to be seen on television. Overnight fame. They want that overnight fame. But what I feel is that's not just the on-screen thing. Behind the screen, we have graphic designers, we have artists working, we have so many other departments, editorial department that also works. So when you call off television, it's just on-screen, people assume that. Because not many in the audience or maybe outside don't know that there are so many departments actually. There are different crafts. And coming to the opportunities, nobody will come and give you opportunity. It is you who have to create. As a woman, I personally feel if you don't want a man to come and touch you, you will not be touched. It is just you and your values and your family atmosphere that matters. Later, if somebody is misbehaving, it is their family values that has to be blamed. Again, it comes from the parental stigma. And majorly, one more thing I want to put into light is when it comes to remuneration. Even today, the actors, the heroes are paid more than the actresses. Maybe the actresses who are very successful are paid more, but the remuneration of the actresses are less. If they are paid, for example, 100%, this is just that 10, not even 10, 8 to 9% they are paid. So I think the remuneration in different sectors, in corporate sectors, we don't have a CFO, a CEO, they are really paid. If it's a women, they're paid equally. But when it comes to the industry, in cinema, they are paid less. Endorsements, less. For endorsement, if you ask a hero or a heroine, they say heroine because budget come hai. Hero because face value. Heroine has a better face value than a hero. But it's not seen that way.
So how can we change that narrative? The question is
there should be a structure for this. There is no structure, there is no access exactly how to start. If somebody from a rural place wants to come and become an actress, or she wants to become a camera person also, she doesn't know how to enter. There should be structure. I'm sure there are a lot of production houses who take resumes and all, but again, you need a reference. Like she said, you need a reference for that. Directly, if you want to do a course for an engineer, for a doctor, or some other course for a AI, there are institutions for that. But if tomorrow, if I want to go and become a cinematographer, I'll come from a campus, then campus will have a placement. After that, what? Who will refer? Where are the references? So there should be a structure for that, a particular structure where all the top people from the industry who are successful, who are having production houses should come together. They should also have campus placements. They should go to the campuses themselves instead of the production guys. Then I think people will take them seriously, and also there will be a lot of skill development, and I think industry will have lot better artists, lot better cinematographers, camera people, and every craft will have better people.
So let me now conclude, because I keep promises, but going with my character, I would like each of the panelists to tell me, because for me, International Women's Day is not very symbolic. It's a time to reflect how much we should celebrate and how much more far we need to travel to reach an equitable space for men and women in cinema. So I would like each of the panelists to answer me, what is that one thing you in your personal capacity will be doing from today, this minute onwards, to make cinema, the Indian film industry. I don't believe in Collywood, Bollywood, Tollywood. I think there's only one thing called as Indian film industry. More equipped for men and women to be part of it. Starting with Sunitha ji.
See, for me as a producer and a filmmaker who studied cinema, when I look at a particular individual to hire, I never look at the gender. I look at the resume. I look at what work they have done, what attitude they have. Sometimes I don't look at the resume either, I look at the attitude. Because attitude can catch up with 10 years of skill set within 1 year. I'll continue to do that. And I don't think I like to see gender. I like to see what is their skill set. And if somebody is skilled enough and want to improve themselves, because this industry is growing at a very rapid pace because of the technology, and you need to keep up with what's happening out there. So that is something I will continue to do. I have done all that. But there is something I'll change on the narrative that is going on. There is a lot of it that we try to tell because it is told. Because it is this way, it is done this way. There are very few path breakers. We have to pave new paths now, and new paths are not easy to walk. It's going to be a lot of making of the path. There will be a lot of hurdles. So if you ask me what is it that I will do new, in every story that I like to tell and I want to tell and I'm going to tell, I will choose a narrative that is far more representative of women, that is far more identifiable for women, that is far more, I'm going to take your word, of restoring faith, that you can sit and watch with your family, with your friends, and don't have to shrink a little bit in your chair, and don't have to kind of hope that you close your eyes for a little bit and that item number will go away. And have to close your eyes for a little bit, that little objectifying is going away. I like to take that shrink away from the women in India at this point of time. That's my next 10-year goal.
Thank you, Sunitha. Wow, audience, you should give a big hand. This is a very quiet audience. Such an important pledge. Niharika, what about you? What is that one thing you will start from today, this moment?
I really like what Sunitha said, like she doesn't see the gender. It's the same with me. I think the production that we're doing right now is with a female director. Again, I'd want to correct myself. The one thing that I want to change is I want to stop calling it female director or female music director. I just want to call them director. So my next film director is also a woman, and I never for a second doubted her capability to do and her attitude, like you said, genuinely, she doesn't have a lot of experience, but then her attitude really made me believe in her. So I think I like the path that I'm going in, and I challenge myself every day, and I really try to. It is a good feeling when I see a lot of women in my own office too. So I'm going to continue my search, and yeah, I would change my vocabulary when it comes to calling people the female director.
Ravi, to you, what is it that you as a film critic will do?
Well, call the bluff constantly, which I, in my limited space, do. I've moved from a smaller newspaper to a bigger newspaper. I'm writing a bigger column than I used to write. I would continue to strongly speak against objectification of women, especially in the context of our cinema, and continue to create, at least among people who will listen to me and say, this is a film that's objectifying women, can we stay away from it?
To you? Yeah. So actually the question should have been asked for a New Year resolution. Because I've already...
Day resolution is what we asked.
I already started that. So I'm like 3 months late here to tell what exactly I started. So from a senior journalist, when I came to the head position, there were too many people around me. So I'm not used to like too many people around me. And everybody coming, reporting to you, talking to you, discussing with you. And I decided to be much more calmer, much more zen-like, rather than just putting my tensions or pressures on somebody else, which I already started. I'm already on the go. And from today, after coming for this discussion, I would say that I would attend more of panel discussions, because I have been invited for so many, but I'm little choosy, because on camera I'm very active, but on stage I'm little shy. So I think I'll attend. Yeah, so I'll attend more panel discussions, and I'll definitely have more of learning, rather than thinking that I've achieved so much. I'll learn more from all the people around me. It can be anybody. Like on this panel also, I had everybody's story. I had Sunitha Garu, I had Niharika, Sunitha ji, and Vichandran Garu. I had different stories, different thoughts and processes of your learning, and how you had overcome those hurdles and have reached here. So that's my thought on this. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So like to conclude this panel, women are here in cinema for sure. They were there in the past, they are there today, and they're going to be there in the future. And we are actually in a 3-day festival celebrating Rajesh Tachriver's selected works, a man who makes films on human rights and has believed that women's right is human rights, and the gap between the gender has to be filled by each one of us. It will not happen automatically, and I think the audience there and the makers here are equally responsible to change the narrative of women's cinema, whether in cinema or on the screen. The woman that we see, we have to make a choice to do it. Let me conclude this panel by thanking each of my panelists and welcome Rajesh ji on the stage.